John Pyne here. My background has been skin cancer work for the last 25, 30 years. I have my own practice here in Sydney, Australia, which is exclusively skin cancer. I have some teaching appointments at 3 universities, and I'm very keen about early skin cancer diagnosis intervention. I'm one of the few private clinics in Australia that has confocal microscopy capability, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of my knowledge with the audience during the masterclass. The Dermoscopy Masterclass this year will be a little bit different from last year, obviously because of the COVID-19 situation, but I still think it's always engaging. Some of the best world dermoscopists have been put on the faculty. Harold Kittler and Cliff Rosendale are no strangers to the audience, and there's always something new and exciting about when Cliff and Harold speak, and I'm really looking forward to contributing in the small way that I do and hearing them as well. The emphasis that I'm going to weave into my presentations is how do you connect the clinical information, the history, the naked eye examination of skin lesions, the dermatoscopic images, and the histology provided by the pathologist. How do you all weave that together to optimise outcomes? By optimising outcomes, I specifically mean how do you ensure you minimise diagnostic errors? How do you pick up skin cancer as early as possible? Because as we all know, prognosis is really strongly linked to early detection and early intervention. And my particular interest and emphasis is always on the connection between, or the correlation between, clinical impression, dermatoscopic image and histopathological features. That will be the theme throughout all my presentations. Well, the Dermoscopy Masterclass by its very name implies that it's a higher level of teaching or training, and the information passed on to the audience is of a higher end. There is an assumption that the people in the audience are familiar with dermoscopy and would have been doing dermoscopy for some time and be familiar with what it can do. So the purpose of a Dermoscopy Masterclass is to sort of expect that most people in the audience will be quite familiar with the technique and what you can see. And the intention of the speakers is to fill in the gaps in people's knowledge about what they can and can't see, and also extend their conceptual understanding of what they actually see in the images. Some of these things are very fluid, and as research continues and more information and more technology evolves, the knowledge that we have on what we see and how we interpret that is always growing. And the Dermoscopy Masterclass is always an opportunity for that information to be passed on to the clinicians. I would expect that most clinicians in the audience would be doing at least part-time skin cancer practice, perhaps full-time skin cancer practice. Most clinicians would know, the difference, for example, between polarised dermoscopy and non-polarised dermoscopy, and what you can see and what you can't see with those different modalities. It's important to be aware of that. Because some cancers can be more easily diagnosed, or some features can be more easily recognised by different light modalities. And if you understand those applications and limitations, it enhances your ability to not miss things and pick things up early. I've been involved in the application of dermoscopy to skin cancer diagnosis for over 20 years. And even though I've been doing this for a long time and did a PhD on dermoscopy, I'm still continuously learning almost on a daily basis, fine-tuning and tweaking my knowledge and conceptual understanding of what I'm doing. And I'm sure all doctors are the same. By our very nature, we tend to be obsessive people who always want to know as much as we can about a particular topic. And there is this relentless quest in doctors to always try and be better at doing things. And it doesn't really matter what particular field of medicine you're in, but certainly in skin cancer diagnosis, and particularly in dermoscopy, given the diversity of what comes before you, there's always something new you can learn. And I have always been quite passionate about this particular part of medicine, and I look forward to sharing that knowledge.